Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning to those of you that are here, to those that are watching us online as well. This morning, welcome to worship at United Faith Community. If you'd like to learn more about us, I invite you to check out our website, ufcucc.org. We'd love to have you join us here for worship in person as well. So, as far as announcements go this morning, Shelley, do you want to talk a little bit about our youth event that's coming up in a couple of weeks?
Yes, on December 18th, the youth and anybody feeling young at heart is welcome to join us on the 18th at 10 a.m. We will be shopping here locally and picking out some gifts for a family in need, and coming back here then after shopping and doing some wrapping of those gifts to prepare them to donate to that family for Christmas. We'll also have some games, Christmas cookies, festive cheer, so a little bit of a Christmas party, and preparing these gifts for our community members that are in need. People are welcome to participate however they feel. If people are interested in making donations, they can make a donation. If people want to actually come and shop and wrap and all of that, people are welcome to do that as well. Like I said, it'll be from 10 until noon on December 18th.
And we are planning a kind of a soup and sandwich lunch after that. So, yeah, again, everybody is welcome. You don't have to be just our kids from our combined youth group. So, what is it they call it? The youth group gang, I believe, is
Yes,
how they refer to it.
Youth group gang.
With our 4 cooperative churches.
Yes.
So, that and Sharon, we're starting the Bible study again is on the 8th of December, correct?
Yes.
So a week and a half.
Yep.
Our next time on 1 Corinthians 15, I believe.
15, and we'll talk about 16 as well. We'll
Okay,
finish up the book.
15 and 16.
Mhm.
All right, very good. Other than that, we're still finishing up our drive for our homeless students, for the drive for the student care closets. Particularly in need, we've had tremendous response from the community, particularly on the clothing side. So what we're really looking for is things like personal toiletries, hygiene items, and home cleaning supplies have been asked for this year as well. So we've had great support, and we're going to continue to do that through the end of the month. So I don't think there's any other announcements that I'm aware of. So if not, I'm going to ask everybody to rise, and we're going to pass the peace virtually, as is our custom with sign language. So it goes like this: peace be with you, and the response is, and also with you. Invite everybody to sit back down, and as it is Advent, Sharon and I are going to light our Advent candle, start with our Advent candle lighting this morning. Advent means coming. It's a time of longing, watching, and praying for God's healing, transformative presence, to be ever more vibrantly present in the world. In this sense, Advent is a season in which we focus on the key phrase in the Lord's Prayer, "Thy kingdom come." As Christians, the good news we strive to live by and declare is that love is stronger than hate, peace more enduring than war, and hope more powerful than despair. And the light of God's love will extinguish forever the shadows of shame cast by violence, suffering, sorrow, and contempt. This year, each of our Advent litanies begins by telling the truth about a world that is all too barren of God's hope, peace, joy, and love. Then, after the candle has been lit, we cry out with all people of faith, past, present, and future, that God is, even now, overwhelming the world.
A reading from Isaiah chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of power, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord.
When I look around, I see shadows of hunger. So many people in this city and around the world will go to bed hungry tonight.
When I look around, I see shadows of injustice, the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. Everyone saying, buy, buy, buy. And someone, somewhere, will fall asleep under a bridge tonight.
In the face of hunger, we light a candle of hope.
In the face of injustice, in the face of despair, we light a candle of hope.
Let the light from this candle say to all that God's hope is coming on earth as it is already in heaven.
Friends, be not afraid. God's hope is at hand.
And at this time, I'm going to invite everybody to grab, there should be a song sheet near you. We're going to sing the top song, Shine a Candle, our Advent song for this season. So we'll just remain seated. So I want to start off this morning by talking about joys and concerns. Do we have any joys and concerns from the group to lift up in prayer this morning? Anybody?
One of the things that I'm always reminded of around Thanksgiving is how full I am on that day and how overly stuffed I can be. And it reminds me of all of those that go hungry every day. And so I would lift up to those that are without food in a season of overabundance for many of us.
And I guess I would lift the opportunity for us to gather with family and friends. Some on Thursday. I know in our case we're gathering with family today. Always grateful for the opportunities to gather with family again, remembering that there are those that are around us that do not necessarily have family to gather with. Anybody else have anything we want to lift up in prayer? Well, if not, then I invite us to be in prayer together to start our morning. Generous and gracious God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather as your people, to explore together what our faith is all about, to try to discern what you truly would have us to know and do, and how we can act to share your love with all of those around us. God, we are ever grateful and particularly thankful in this season that we have more than enough to eat. Help us to remember those that may not have a large spread for the table in this holiday time, that may not necessarily know where their next meal is coming from. God, we're also thankful for opportunities to gather with family and friends in these days. Again, mindful that there are some that may be alone, that may not have anyone to gather with or feel that they have been isolated. God, we pray for those. We pray that they would feel your love and the love from us as well. We ask that you be with us today, that you guide our thoughts, guide our words. Help us as we share and talk about what our faith truly means to us. And we ask all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. So as we talked about a few minutes ago, today marks the beginning of a new year in our church calendar, the first Sunday of the Advent season, the Sunday of Hope. And the 4 Sundays that lead up to Christmas correspond to the 4 outer candles on our Advent wreath, with the 5th one in the center, the white Christ candle. Sharon and I lit the Hope candle this morning, and that's what I want to talk about today. So I want to start with a dictionary definition of hope. And the ones I found go like this, defining hope: to want something to happen or to be true, and usually have a good reason to think that it might. Or to cherish a desire with anticipation, to desire with expectation. So I want to read a scripture this morning from the Hebrew Testament book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah 29 verses 1 and 10 through 14a. At this time, the Jewish people have been overtaken by the Babylonians. A number of those people had been exiled to Babylonia. The prophet Jeremiah sent a letter from Jerusalem to the few surviving elders among the exiles, to the priests and the prophets, and to all the people Nebuchadnezzar had taken to Babylon from Jerusalem. The Lord proclaims, "When Babylon's 70 years are up, I will come and fulfill my gracious promise to bring you back to this place. I know the plans I have in mind for you, declares the Lord. They are plans for peace, not disaster, to give you a future filled with hope. When you call me and come and pray to me, I will listen to you. When you search for me, yes, search for me with all your heart, you will find me. I will be present for you, declares the Lord." So I want to read part of an article. I found it on a website entitled A Conscious Rethink. And the article was entitled 7 Reasons for Finding Hope for the Future is So Important. Why? Let me try that again. 7 reasons why finding hope for the future is so important. And it's not the entire article, but I want to read a part of it. It starts off by talking, what is hope? Of all the thoughts and notions a person can have, hope is probably the closest to trust. When you have hope, you are placing your trust in the potential for something positive to happen. You are trusting that taking the right actions will make a positive outcome more likely than taking the wrong actions. When you hope for a better future, you are placing trust in yourself to make good choices in life. When you trust someone, you hope that they will act in a way that embodies that trust. When you jump out of an airplane, you trust in your parachute and hope you land safely. The very act of carrying on and living your life is by itself a display of hope. It's the trust that you have that when you go to bed at night, you will wake up to a new day that is filled with possibility. So that's what hope is. What hope is not. So if you look in that dictionary and you see other definitions for hope that include the word such as desire, anticipation, and expectation. But these are not really what hope is about. The problem is, with desire, anticipation, and expectation is that when a particular thing is not forthcoming, they can disappear, leaving a void into which negative thoughts and feelings enter. It's that season. Think about a child opening presents. He desires, anticipates, and expects a particular thing, a toy or a bike, for example. When this thing is not forthcoming, what does he do? Particularly a young child may get upset, he may have a tantrum, and he's not grateful for the presents he did receive. But hope is not tied to a particular outcome. Hope doesn't depend on certainty. Hope is merely the belief that there is the potential for something good to happen. That something good is not anything specific. It's merely the idea of a positive outcome. As Archbishop Desmond Tutu once said, hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. The light's not a particular thing. The light is just something good, the potential for something good. So we might ask, why is hope important to our lives? Now we know, we talked about what hope is and what it's not, but why does it matter? So the article has 7 reasons to have hope. Reason number 1, hope is a healer. We all face difficult times and we all get hurt. It's inevitable. But hope helps us to see that there are many positive possibilities ahead of us. Hope whispers, things will get better. Hope puts the hurt and pain into perspective and reminds us that things are forever changing. When we are at our lowest point, it is hope that lifts our head and shows us a path back towards something good. Reason number 2, hope shows us how to act. The hope is not tied to a particular outcome. It can still be a guiding force in our lives. When we have hope, we are more likely to see the opportunities that come our way. When we have hope, we are more likely to choose a path that leads to something positive. When we have hope, we are more likely to act in a way that promotes a peaceful and joyful life. Number 3, hope is a motivator. Hope is a source of energy. It helps us to see something better up ahead and to put one foot in front of the other to move forward. When we feel hopeful for the future, we wake up in the morning ready to embrace the day. And hope keeps us going when we hit that proverbial brick wall. It reminds us of why we are pursuing this path and the potential for something good to come out of it. Reason number 4, hope encourages self-belief. Hope not only helps you to believe that something better is coming, it gives you the belief that you are the person who can make that something better come true. When all we do is desire something to happen, we do not empower ourselves to make it happen. But when we hope for something better, we tell ourselves that we have the power within us to change our direction of travel. Number 5, hope combats negative thoughts. It's difficult to have negative thoughts and be hopeful at the same time. As I said before, hope allows us to see that light at the end of the tunnel, and that light acts as a challenge to any unwanted thoughts. When you think, I can't do this, hope reminds you how capable you are. When you think, this is a disaster, hope reminds you that things will improve. Next, hope brings inner peace. As with negative thoughts, hope can help ease negative feelings too. Hope is the opposite of despair. Whereas despair creates a breeding ground for self-loathing, inaction, depression, hope allows joy, enthusiasm, and a quiet contentment to grow. So even while a challenging situation remains, hope can transform our inner landscape into one that is less affected by that outside environment. And finally, hope is contagious. People want to feel hopeful. They want to believe, to trust that the future is bright, which is why they're so willing and able to absorb the hope of others. Hope will spread quickly. When the possibility of a better future is put forward, people are ready to listen and believe. Now, this article goes on to recommend some ways to help us find hope when we feel that hope is missing or we're lacking strength. And a couple of the more important things are this. It's to be a source of hope for others. As I said before, it's contagious. When you don't know where to find hope, look for it in those that need your help. Even when you are struggling, you have the power to bring hope to other people by giving your time and energy to their needs. This might mean helping out at a community organization or performing acts of kindness and generosity for friends, neighbors, or even for strangers. And the other important part is rejoice in the little things that make life worth living. When hope is missing, life can seem drained of all its color and its vibrancy. But you can combat that feeling and find your hope once more by recognizing the little things and the brief moments of calm in your life. Showing gratitude for those positive things that already exist in your life makes it easier to trust in the potential for even better things ahead. So to kind of sum things up, hope is not just important. It really is one of the most essential things in our lives. Hope keeps us going. It reminds us that bad times won't last, and it pushes us on to greater things. If you have lost hope, the challenges you face may seem insurmountable, which is why it's vital that you try to find hope again. even if it's just a tiny sliver of hope to begin with. So now I want to talk a little bit this morning about hope and get your thoughts on that. And I guess the first question that I would ask is, are hope and faith the same thing?
No,
No?
I don't think so. Hope is, I guess, oh jeez. Hope doesn't always have to do with religion, whereas faith is usually thrown with religion.
Okay.
Hope can be just anything, looking forward to something, hoping that something will happen. But faith, I view as more towards faith of something existing rather than of something happening.
Okay.
I don't know. I have faith that my car is going to start when I leave here today. I don't think it's a particularly religious vehicle. But seriously, you've used three terms which I think overlap quite a bit: faith, trust, and hope. I mean, to a pretty significant extent, I think they can be used interchangeably, given the context. Actually, in Hebrew, the word for faith and, the word for faith and trust are the same word. And it just depends on the context of whether it gets translated as faith or trust into the English. So, yeah, I think they all have certain parts of them that are the same.
I actually kind of agree with both of you, because I do agree there is an element of it where it feels very interchangeable, but I also can agree with you where, for me, faith, there's some level of certainty in faith. There's this sense of, I have faith in God to do X, or I have, it's my willingness to believe without proof, and that to me is the faith part of, there's, where for me hope is, I don't quite have that, I have that expectation but not that certainty. With me, faith is about me being certain even though I don't know that it's true, or even though that I don't have proof. So to me, faith is a little bit stronger than hope. To me, with hope, there's still a little bit of, it could go either way. So there's that nuance there.
Except for me, I think I would have a more difficult time living without hope than I would without faith. If I had no hope in my life, then why live another day? But faith seems to be more of a river. Sometimes it ebbs, sometimes it flows, and but I need hope. So yeah, it gets back to that whole context thing again, I suppose.
Yeah. And there is that element that they're intertwined. That you can't separate them.
Hope really is just a word until you put something behind it. Like if you don't make any actions, you're hoping for something that won't happen. So, food for thought.
Yeah.
And maybe a companion question to this then is, how are faith and hope different? And we've kind of talked a little bit about that already. But are there more specifics?
Hope could be more in terms of like personal, like people, like down to earth, and like faith is more of I can't even word things today, but
Oh, that's all right.
sounds like someone's having fun with their car.
Well, they're dropping some items off in our box out there, so.
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's say hope is, not to cut you off, but hope is like, it's something that you can, it's more than likely that it's going to happen, and you really, really believe that something's gonna happen. And faith is, you're open to believe anything, like, you're open to believe something that you don't even have the evidence of, versus hope is, there's like a little bit of evidence here that I can anticipate, versus faith is, they couldn't have any evidence at all, and I still believe wholeheartedly.
So if I understand what you're saying, Matt, you're saying that hope, you would normally have something to go along with just a thought, okay? And faith does not necessarily require that?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Think about that a little bit differently. I mean, the church has many reasons for existing, but I think there is a reason why the church has designated the first Sunday in the Christian year, which is today, the Sunday of hope. We didn't designate it the Sunday of faith, we designated it the Sunday of hope. And it seems to me about just about anything else I can think of, the purpose of the church is to give a sense of hope, as opposed to a sense of faith, what it is you believe, but a sense of hope in that tomorrow is going to be better than today. That makes sense? I don't know, maybe it was... sense. Give me a look.
Say that again, Jeff.
Sharon's pondering, what are you going to say?
I think that makes a lot of sense of hope can come, I think it's because it's so, I think hope is just foundational. You know, hope can get you through the ebbs and flows of your faith, if you will. So maybe it's just, maybe that's really the foundational piece of it, of having hope that things can get better, that things, you know, will work out in the future. Because the opposite of that is just despair, and that's just a place of nothingness, void, nothingness, like you said, Jeff. Then what's the point of anything if you're in that point of you have no hope?
So is hope something that is sort of a building block to faith then in that description? Like you say, if you get to a point of despair, the opposite of hope, does that mean then you don't have faith? Like, do you need a little bit of the hope to be a foundation of the faith aspect of it?
I think they have to, one has to lead to the other, maybe. If you don't have any hope, then, yeah, see, they're so intertwined, it's hard.
Maybe if the building block concept is helpful, you know, maybe the ultimate hope is that there is a God who loves us and cares for us, and that's beginning faith, I would
Yeah.
say. But you got to have that hope first. That seems to be more foundational than just starting with the faith question. what do you have faith in? Well, my faith is based in what I hope for the world. Does that help to,
Yeah.
you know?
So if, like a couple of you have said, that hope is kind of a foundation, a building block type of thing, that's, we can go build on top of, where do we find hope?
In our faith?
Either go back around.
There we go, around in that circle again, huh?
But then a person who, say, is an atheist, doesn't believe in a higher power, where does their hope come from then?
And the willingness to not be depressed.
A willingness not to be depressed.
Okay, well,
Could be.
You could be an atheist and just believe in the goodness of the human spirit, I suppose.
right, yep.
You know?
Yeah. You can still have faith. It's a different, I think it's just a different kind of faith.
Right. Yeah.
Like you say, faith that people will do the right thing, people as a whole are
Good.
good. Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think there's an element of fake news that you have to be careful of here as well, because I think a lot of times we're encouraged to have hope in things that I think there's ulterior motives sometimes to try to have hope in certain things. I mean, you know, it used to be for a long time, you know, you were told, you know, to have hope in yourself and to work hard and, you know, have hope in our society and you will do all right and you will actually do better than your parents. And I mean, I was brought up with that mindset. That's kind of fallen on its head nowadays. I mean, chances are you're going to do better than your parents isn't all that great anymore. You know, so that whole sense that we would have hope just by working hard or have a better life, I don't know. I mean, and why would we taught that in the first place? You know, I think in Christianity we're often taught a lot about having hope in an afterlife in heaven. And I mean, it's not just Christianity, and in other religions as well. But, you know, Jesus spoke very little about an afterlife. In fact, the Bible says very little. People point to Revelation, but that's telling a different story. It's not really talking about heaven. And so why are we making something up to give us hope there? At least in terms of some of the details at times. It seems a little, it just seems like a false narrative to me.
Mhm.
So I think we got to think about the reasons or what is our hope based on.
Yep. Our justice system. People will say, oh, you trust the justice system to work. Well, it doesn't always, quote, work to my way of thinking the way I think it should,
No, it doesn't.
you know. So that leads me to, I mean, I have hope that it'll work better, but I don't think I can't just feel a lot of certainty that that's going to happen without some changes. I think it leads to, you can't just sit back and hope. You have, like you said, Jeff, you have to kind of look at what do you really put your hope in, and then you might have to try to make some changes in the world. But that's a hope too, that you can change it.
And the other piece I think that goes along with that is hope that's not, that hope that is void of my participation in it. So I'm going to hope that the world's going to be better tomorrow. Well, that means I got to do something to make the world better tomorrow.
Right.
You know, I need to be a part of the solution. I can't just be a passive bystander.
Well, and I think, Ole, you said something about this earlier in there, like where hope comes from. For me, oftentimes hope comes from other people. Me seeing other people doing good in the world makes me be hopeful that there will be change, and then it may motivate me to be thinking about, okay, so what is it that I can do? And so hopefully it is sort of this domino effect of, I get hope because I see, Sharon, you're doing steps, A, B, and C, and it makes me then go, all right, I can step up and do the next couple of things, and then hopefully that shines a light to somebody else, and they see hope because I'm making change, So to me, it is a community type thing. I would say very seldom does my hope come from within. I don't know that I can't make myself hopeful as much as I can when I look to others.
I would agree with that statement, but at the same time, I look at you and I'm more hopeful. How can that be?
Right? Right?
Well, back to that article, one of the reasons about it was hope is contagious.
Yeah.
And that really leads, the last couple of comments here leads to another one of my questions is, how can you and or your family help to bring hope into this community, this local community, and society as a whole? So how can we help bring that? Shelley, I think you kind of went that direction there, and looking to others
Yeah.
for that. Are there other ways that we can help bring hope?
Well, I think of like what we're doing with the youth group, and so we're going to do, get these gifts for a family that's in need locally in our community. And I guess I would say it this way, I'm hopeful that brings them hope for more opportunities for that particular family. Like I'm hopeful that they see it as an avenue of hope for themselves as well. And sort of like I've always thought, whenever we've done any sort of service work, I get far more out of it than I ever give. I think I'm going there to do this great thing. And even in this situation, let's say I feel like, oh, great, we're doing this great thing for this family. I think it teaches me to be so much more grateful for what I have, and what, that I feel this need to be more generous, to share more, to give more. And so to me, hopefully that is, again, this sense of hope that is contagious.
And I think, yeah, and I never underestimate that sense of contagiousness, and I really think that there's something there. I mean, Sharon and I have led several mission trips, and, I think, you talk about with the kids about what you're going to be doing and seeing, and how you're going to be doing something good in the world, and hopefully you do, but it is such a teeny drop in such a huge bucket. Where I find hope is that I have seen lives change time and again from the participants
Yes.
in those events. for those mission trips. That's where the hope lies for me.
Yep.
Yeah, and so it's, our purpose as a church is not necessarily to solve homelessness in Buffalo or any place else, but we can serve as an example for collecting items for homeless students, and by doing so, make our small contribution, but also, have other people feel hopeful about what's going on in their community, and I believe do more in the long run.
Yep.
And you mentioned our Care Closet Drive, Jeff, and a few of the people that I have spoken with when they've come to donate items, many of them have said that they didn't necessarily see the newspaper article or see one of our flyers about it, but I heard about it from a friend of a friend of a friend, or something like that, and it gets passed around. So I think like you're talking about, Jeff, that it can work its way through a community, that that momentum can continue to enlarge that circle. It's not just the people that we here directly know that are contributing. And that, I think, helps build that hope within the entire community, that hopefully we can provide enough for these students and their families. Other thoughts about how we could bring that out into the community?
I think just part of what we've done here is, and I've heard this from various people, that we have fostered a certain amount of hope in the way that we've been welcoming to some people that in the community as a whole might feel marginalized, that we have a space here that we do welcome all, and a safe space that for people that may not always feel safe.
Well, and along that same lines, we received an email this week from a person here, I believe in the immediate area. They didn't say, but their comment was they were looking for a more open-minded church congregation to worship with, and liked the aspect of our openly welcome to all sort of thing. So, yeah, that does continue to reach out. I have not had the opportunity, haven't met them yet, obviously, and to find out where they heard about us from, if it was something direct or not. But, so being that it is the holiday season, Thanksgiving and coming to Christmas, are there any holiday traditions or rituals that any of you have in your families that might help bolster that sense of hope? Particularly at this time of year, is there anything that you do or your family does that helps build that?
With my family, we kind of stopped doing traditions because as soon as me and my brother got out of Lutheran, Zion Lutheran, we just kind of stopped with religion altogether. So my parents don't really do much traditions with religion or with Christianity or any of that.
Okay.
But outside of religion, does your family have any traditions
Not that I can
around the
remember.
holidays?
we used to do these like calendar things where you punch it and then you pull out a chocolate.
Oh, yes.
Advent?
The Advent candy calendars, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you do on Thursday?
Thursday was Thanksgiving, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't really celebrate that actually.
Oh, okay.
I kind of know the history behind that. I just choose to stay away from it.
Okay. So how many of us had turkey?
Mm-hmm.
Guilty?
Yeah. See?
Pilgrims probably didn't.
No, but we did. But
that's that tradition.
That's the tradition we've created. That's,
That's right.
you know, that's kind of become ritual. Well, it's Thanksgiving, you have to have turkey if you're gathering with family. So we kind of have some traditions we've, rightly or wrongly.
Yeah.
Does it help build our sense of hope in any way?
I think there's a certain comfort in the certainty of it, of, you know, this is our tradition, this is what we do, we got together with family, we had lots of turkey. So I think that creates a hopefulness of having the familiar happen. if you will.
Yeah, I think it creates a sense of community, that we have a shared sense of traditions. And one can go overboard with that, and there can be a negative aspect to that, I'm sure. But I think
Right.
it can also be very positive to have those traditions. Even as hokey as I think it may be at times, I mean, just the city of Buffalo has some traditions, some things that pull people out of their homes and whatnot, which actually, I think there is, it does foster a sense of community.
Yep.
You know, the farmer's market here on Saturday, just going down and walking around the farmer's market and buying a pastry or something like that, there's a sense of community, you know, and that's kind of a tradition that keeps coming back year after year.
Yep.
And I wonder, I mean, there's a lot of people that go down there to buy the fresh produce, but I also wonder how many people like me go down there just because it's a nice way to be around community on Saturday morning.
And if hope is contagious, it's a good place to be contagious. You know?
You know,
Being,
people-
building
People
community.
are more relaxed, they're friendlier, it seems like, because they're relaxed perhaps, and, yeah, there's some fertile ground for hope to flourish, put it that way.
I think one of the other traditions that I have personally this time of year that is it brings hope for me, and again, hopefully for others, but I always, this time of year, reflect on where I do give and how I give. So whether it's, what role am I playing in this community, what role am I playing in that community, or what financial gifts am I giving? Like, I always use this time of year to reflect on what are the things that mean the most to me and that I want to make sure I'm supporting in whatever way that is, with my time, with my talents, whatever. I just always tend to use this time of year to reflect on that. And it does give me hope, because I think it sort of builds up that, you know what, if I do my part, if I take my action, hopefully Jeff sitting next to me will take his action, and we will do great things together, kind of thing. So.
And for me, like Jeff mentioned, some of the community events kind of thing, and I'm thinking the Chamber of Commerce here in Buffalo is putting on their event at Sturgis Park next Saturday. It gives me that sense of hope for this community, that we can put some of our differences aside, and like you said, Jeff, it's a more relaxed, a more friendly, just a whole atmosphere that's different. that gives me the hope that, hope we can get through this difficult time in particular that we're in right now, with so much division, but yet people can pull together for an event like that. Other thoughts or comments about hope? Tommy's going back out deer hunting. I bet he hopes that he sees a deer.
I got a phone
Unless
call,
maybe
a text
hunting
message
is
from
his
Oklahoma
religion,
this
that maybe
week.
he'd have faith that he sees a deer.
Just had hope at your house.
I got lots of hope,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
all right, well, if no other comments at this point, then I thank everyone for your participation this morning, a good discussion on this first Sunday of Hope as we go into the Advent season. So we thank everybody for being with us online as well, and we will see everybody next Sunday. Thanks for coming.